Hey, all, Pink Lady here. Welcome to another episode of Bet on Yourself, Sis. I'm Jasmine Gary, your host, and I use she, her pronouns. And as always, I'm super excited. This will be the last episode of season one, the last episode of the year. And what a better way to end it, right? You'll see. So, this episode is with Vena J. She's a licensed social worker and therapist. She's also the producer, creator, and host of the Konfession Korner, which is a platform that provides a cognitive and communal space to discuss the journeys of Black creatives, artists, and entrepreneurs, as well as the importance of mental health and wellness. So, December was Mental Health Awareness Month here on Bet on Yourself, Sis. That was not done on purpose, but wow, look at how purposeful it was, right? So, in this episode, we talk about the evolution of the Konfession Korner, how it started as a podcast, where it is now, and where it can go in the future. We talk about the importance of intentionality in conversations, the importance of community and mentorship. We talk about navigating alignment and personal growth, the power of vulnerability, the value of continuous learning, and navigating rejection in entrepreneurship, because you're gonna have to deal with a lot of rejection, right? So it was a great episode to end the year, because Vina reminds us that life is hard for everyone, right? So it's okay to have a little extra empathy and gratitude, especially today, especially right now. So I hope you take Vina's advice and let 2026 be the year you really bet on yourself, sis.
Yeah. Bet on yourself, sis. Bet on yourself, sis. You've got the goal, confidence and style. Let your power show.
Vena J. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to talk to you today. So, audience, I have been following Vena for the longest. The Konfession Korner was a podcast. I don't think it's the Konfession Korner podcast anymore. I think you've moved on to video and you do it differently, but we will get all into that.
Yeah.
I love her content, y'all. It is so community based. It is so art based. It is so like intentional and mindful in the conversation she has. Oh, the questions she asked, y'all, I've been following her for, again, a while, and I'm so glad. We got to meet last year at the Afros and Audio Conference.
Yep.
And y'all, I stopped her and I'm like, oh my God. I fangirl, y'all. I was like, I'm so excited to meet you. I follow you. I told her all the things, and she was just so graceful. She gave me a hug, and I was just like, yeah, that's Black girl magic. But yeah, okay, I will stop talking now. I'm fangirling again and let Vena get into who she is and what she does. So Vena, please tell the people who you are and what you do.
Yes. First and foremost, thank you so much for having me here. Podcasting is a new kink, okay?
Yes.
I like to be a little kinky, so this is what you
Okay.
want. But no, thank you so much for even the extension and just even reaching out and wanting to have me on your platform and talk. I think it's something that's beautiful that you're building here, and I'm just so grateful to be in community with you, and especially at meeting at Afros on Audio. Shout out to Talib, okay?
Yes.
Thank you so much just for having me. It is really an honor just to be, like I said, in community and just to be able to speak on a platform beautiful as yours. So I want to, give you your kudos first and foremost.
Thank you.
But yes, the Confession Corner is, I don't really promote it more so as like the Confession Corner podcast, because I did when I first was starting out, and it initially started off as a podcast, and now just seeing to see what like it blossomed into is just extraordinary, honestly. So I'm gonna give a little quick intro. Hey y'all, my name is Vena J, the host, producer, and mama of the Confession Corner, a platform and a cognitive space for Black artists, creators, and influencers, not only to speak about their artistry, but also about mental health, self-awareness, and everything else that encompasses their journey. I am a Black licensed social worker slash therapist as well. So hence the mental health aspect. We dive into conversations that not only surround like anxiety, depression, but also just grief and things like that. I like to say I put the medicine inside the juice. It's not really like, yeah, so when was the last time, you grieved this, that, and third? It's not therapy. Let's just make it clear. I have to make that clear with folks. It's not therapy, but it's a cognitive space for interpersonal conversations to happen and to be curated, and usually mental health aspects and terminology, or just some type of concepts are included in that. And it's just a safe space for Black creatives, entrepreneurs, innovators, impactors, artists, all the beautiful people that make the world go round. So yeah.
Yes, 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 yes. I love it. I love it. So, talk about the transition and how the, I guess, pivot happened for you from, promoting it as just a podcast to creating this beautiful thing, as you say, that it blossomed into. And talk about like how it transformed into what it is now.
Right. Okay. So, funny enough, I want to say it was in 2022, if I'm not mistaken, like late 2022. I want to say like December 2022. I had thought about the concept in September-ish 2022. And I was telling my best friend, who is the wonderful artist. I was like, I'm thinking I want to, really be in space where I talk to artists and creatives, because I feel like a lot of y'all don't have the platforms in order to speak. And granted, we do have platforms, people will pull somebody to the side for some like promotion or whatever the case may be. But I really want to get into the raw and uncut conversation. And she was like, well, I think that you should probably start doing something like that. And I've never done anything where it was like a, hey y'all, look at me type of creative thing. I've always been creative in my own right. I've done videography. I've played around with the camera before. I've painted and sketched a little bit. Nothing real too promotional, but just enough to ease myself and to ease the creative within me.
Yeah.
So I want to say in December 2022, I had launched the Konfession Korner podcast. It was just a podcast I don't even think it started off, I think it started off with creatives and artists. I'm not too sure if I'm recollecting it correctly. I think I just said, I just want to talk to amazing Black folk about just topics surrounding like real life situations. And me just being a therapist and a licensed social worker, I was like, well, some of that's going to leak into the conversation. So I think I had just started that in 2022. Season 1 was a fun learning season. I had did this. I want to say reached out to this production team. They were, Black male owned production team. They do, phenomenal works, from like having, rap artists come out, singers. They had their own podcast and type of station. They let people rent out the station, or like the space for podcasters and people to have their own production. And I had did it. And initially season 1 was supposed to be visual, but it wasn't what we aligned with.
Okay. Okay.
So, shout out to them, kudos to them, doing what they doing for the community. But it just wasn't aligning with what I initially had imagined. And just for a young Black woman just coming up in that space, I just was like, maybe it's not aligning with who I am right now too. Like I said, kudos to them, God Black Power, for them building a space for them and their audience. But season 1 was initially supposed to be a visual. However, that didn't happen, so it came out as the audio. And I remember my best friend, shout out to Row Vision, I remember me and her just really going through the details of what my audience, what my avatar would look like who would really listen to the Konfession Korner podcast. And the audience type, like what type of conversations would be on there and things of that nature. And I really appreciate her for doing that, because it really gave me solid ground to understand like how I want to go forward with the Konfession Korner podcast. And I remember, like, just like I said, the whole premise was like, I just want to talk to Black folk on here about the amazing thing that they doing. I don't really care what it is. We can get into it. And I think that's when podcasting started to become really hot. And it was kind of like at the peak, but it was like growing towards the peak in simpler terms. And I was like, this is really getting hot. I could get on here and talk about anything. You know what I'm saying? But also at the same time, I was like, no, like this needs to be constructed correctly, because I just don't want to. One of my fears was just like building an Instagram page and again, like, 200 followers, and then like after 5-4 years, somebody's like, well, what happened to the podcast? I'm like, oh yeah, right, whatever. So I
That is something I did once, right?
right. No, I understand, but no, I understand life
Yeah.
happens. I just know,
Yeah.
like, if I was like, if I'm going to really do this, I'm going to have to really do this, because I am surrounded, like, my tribe is a whole bunch of creatives, artists, impactors, cultural curators. They're phenomenal at what they do. They're phenomenal
Yeah.
entrepreneurs. They're phenomenal. So I was like, if I'm going to be with the pack, I'm gonna have to be serious about it. I like, what I'm saying, I'm the social worker slash therapist friend that is around a whole bunch of creatives. Granted, I'm a creative in my own right, but I'm like, if I'm gonna do this, I can't be slacking. Like, I'm with the winning team. Like, I'm with the winning. My tribe is the winning team. So it's
Yeah.
like, if I'm gonna do this, I gotta be
No.
serious. So even like I said, my best friend had even helped me create. She created the logo for it and everything, And I just come up with the craziest ideas. It was just, it was just. I'm just trying to put something together real quick, just to have all these subliminal meanings and all this and the third. Like the leaves mean the growth. I'm sitting in the silhouette in the chair because I'm sitting in my growth. Just the things, child. The green and the orange. The green is because Mental Health Awareness Month. They have the green ribbon, and then like the orange. October actually is ADHD Awareness Month, and the ribbon is orange. So I was like, oh well, hey, it works.
I was gonna ask about the color, so that's
Yeah,
that's very
yeah,
interesting.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It was fun. At first, it was gonna be brown. It was gonna be a lot of things, but grateful. Thank God it came out to what it is now. So
Yeah.
started that in 2022. Launched it. I was a bit nervous because I didn't know how to do none of this. Like, I didn't go to school for graphic designing. I didn't go to school for what I mean. We're just having fun. This is a pure example. And I be telling people about this. This is a pure example of, like, when your mom asks you, well, if your friend jump off the bridge, you gonna jump off of it too? Yeah, it looks fun. Like, it looks fun,
Duh.
crazy, but it looks fun because, like, the excitement, the
Yeah.
thrill, the wonder, the like, okay, like, ain't nobody die. Like, my friends are creators and things like that. Like,
Yeah.
do things get hectic? Absolutely, but ain't nobody die. You know what I'm saying? No one. I haven't, like I said, my tribe that I am involved in, they're the winning team. They're phenomenal at everything that they do, and I learn a lot from them. And me being like the baby of the group, I was like, well, I got some shoes to fill. I'm do it.
Yeah.
But it wasn't so much of pressure. It was an honor to be a part of that, and
Yeah.
to be a part of it continuously. So
Yeah.
started that. Season 1 was a bit choppy. It's funny to look back at it now because I've revisited often now that the year is about to end. Like, I'm like, where we start at? And it's about to come up on, like, what, year 3 of doing this. And I'll be telling people, like, don't have I don't have a background in graphic designing, no publishing a website, none of it. But I believe we're all just learning. And started that. It was pretty good. I had some people from my tribe, majority of people from my tribe, and even my mom was on it because she is an entrepreneur. She's a professional bodybuilder and personal trainer. So I was like, well, this is pretty good. This is great. We're rolling with something, And I remember leaving the production team that I had for season 1, and I was asking them, like, how do I go about doing this on my own, in a sense. And they were talking about the money that was put in, because I was paying them for production and things of that nature and editing, and it wasn't cheap. But they were like, it takes a lot of money, it takes a lot of I don't think you will really, people usually stop. They wasn't saying it to be discouraging, but they were telling me, like, people usually stop when they do it on their own, or they're doing it in a way where it's they're editing it, they're doing the graphics, they're getting the guests, they're writing the script, or, like, layout of what the episode is going to be about it. I'm like, I can do that. Child, when I was looking for season 2, I was like, this ain't hard. I'm not gonna hold y'all. This is hard. This is difficult. And I was sitting, and I was like, Lord, like, I don't know what's gonna happen, but we gonna figure this out.
Yeah.
So I remember coming across, I was looking for production studios out in DC, because I'm originally from PG County, Maryland. And I was looking for production studios out in DC. And I had came across join. I don't know if you're familiar with Join the Movement, but movement doesn't have an O. It's like MVENT. They're out. They're phenomenal at what they do. Shout out to Anwar. Shout out to Marcus. They're phenomenal at what they do with. Well, Anwar does more of like hosting events for Join the Movement. They host events. They host like the R&B night or the Cowboy Carter, night, or whatever the case may
Yeah.
be in
Okay.
DC. The wine festival. It's amazing. But I had got in contact with Anwar from Join the Movement, and he had this production studio podcast space where we could film, like where people could film, and the packaging for the pricing of like filming and editing wasn't that bad. And I was like, well, I think I'm going to go ahead and do it. And like I said, shout out to Anwar because he was real, clear and concise with just making sure like I knew what the ins and outs were. And then I was able to meet Marcus. He was the production. He did the production for like the editing of my episodes and was there, filming it and stuff like that. And it was just, ever since we started talking and conversing, he will sit and listen to the episodes. I would ask him, like, was that good? Do you think you like it? And I don't know him from a can of beans. And he was like, yeah, it was good. It was cool. And just being in more conversation with him because he is more familiar with the production for, he produces other podcasts. And,
Hmm.
he was telling me like how he liked, or he'd give me some pointers, give me some tips and things of that nature. And we started to grow a friendship, and that is my brother in podcasting. But season
Yes.
2 was a bit more flowy. It was more intentional. I
Hmm.
had not only people from my tribe to do a redo from the season 1 to like one as well, but I also had other people that I've been wanting to be in conversation with that were in proximity to my tribe, but I was like, okay, outside of my friends, who are the other folk that I can have conversation
Yeah.
with, and that went so well. I learned a lot with that. I remember going to Ghana in because that was what, 2023. I remember going to Ghana in 20, was it 2024? I believe it was 2024. I believe it was 2024. I went to Ghana early 2024. And I remember being in Ghana, like finishing up season 2, and I was looking at my whole premise of like the Confession Corner podcast. I was like,
Hmm.
okay, it's a podcast. I love that. But this, I'm thinking more outside the box. Like, this could be an umbrella. I remember praying. I was like, Lord, it was supposed to be something more. Give me an idea. Give me something. Give me something. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just going to stand still. And
Yeah.
it was like, well, how about we just take like what I heard and then like my spirit. I was like, how about we just take we just want to talk to black individuals, and make it specific to black artists, creators, and influencers,
Mm.
all alike. Like, you know what I'm saying? Just, it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be specifically those, but just those people in that realm, the creators of our generation. And then like just drop the podcast off the Confession Corner because it could be more than one thing. And when I was like more than one thing, it was like more than one thing. I was like,
Yeah.
all right, Lord, fine. So dropped the name, and I remember just like going through like the different type of like specifics of what this could be, and then that promoted me to want to make a website. Girl, I don't know nothing about making a website. Squarespace, I don't listen. I was looking up tutorials on YouTube. It took me like what, like a year almost to like officially promote. I think I just officially promoted my website this year. It took me a year to figure out how to do that because honestly, I was like, listen, it's gonna get there, it's gonna get done, what's gonna get done. But with sitting in stillness, I was able to, be more focused on what the intention of this platform would be and what would it have to offer. So I had did that, and then I was releasing things for season 2. And I hadn't gone on season 3 yet because I was like, okay, for season 3, I want to do something dynamic. Well, what we can do in the meantime. And in the meantime, I was like, well, maybe we could do like a mini series, a short series. I was a series before or after. I don't know. I think I had thought about a panel first. I had thought about a live series panel first, only because, and shout out to the Black Arts District out here in Baltimore. They promote, they assist individual black artists with whatever project and things that they want to do.
Mm.
And they were having they usually give away like money to assist individual artists. They have like a raffle
Nice.
where they, will grant you some money and sponsor your event. And I remember playing around with one of my friends, and they was like, sign up, sign up. I was like, girl, I'm gonna sign up or whatever. And they pulled a raffle, and they pulled two people who were not there at the event because you have to be there.
Ah.
You have to be there. They pulled two folks. Mind you, this like what, $500? So I'm like,
Mm.
I'm playing around with one of my sisters. I'm like, girl, I'm about to get, they about to call my name. I'm getting ready. And they called my name to go get the raffle, like to go get the award. I was like, oh shoot. I was like, well, shit, I can take $500. So,
Okay.
and the idea on the piece of paper was the idea that you had to, well, you didn't have to, but the idea on the paper I had was a panel. And I was like, I guess, what does that look like? And the first, and I decided to call it Creative Keynotes.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes, yes.
So everyone's like, why is everything starting with K's? I know it's funny. It's a little bit confusing. I feel like it's a little funny only because my full first name starts with a K. So everybody's like, where's the K's coming from? I'm like, y'all,
Okay.
please, whatever. Roll with it. Just roll with it. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Don't worry about it.
so Creative Keynotes had birth from that, and it was a beautiful thing. My tribe assisted community came out, and I was really surprised. I was floored. I was like, y'all really coming and RSVPing, like seeing the RSVPs go up like every other day. I was like, oh shit, it's a party. It's a party for
Yeah.
real. Because even with hosting events, and I noticed this, I'm not very money forward. Granted, I don't mind the funds. We're not gonna block the for the funds. I would
Okay.
love the funds, right? But
Mhm.
I just want people to come and have a good time. I wanted to give
Yeah.
the princess giving a ball. Like I want it to be like just come fresh,
Yes.
come nice, come open, come ready to receive, come talk to some folks, come meet somebody, and
Yeah.
just be in community in a space where we have these conversations. I'm not going to say that are not being had, but I want it to be a constant thing so people are reminded that individuals who are entrepreneurs, who are creatives, who are artists are living out regular lives just like us, or have these feelings, have these thoughts, have these
Yeah.
paths that they're going on, and that this is a safe space to have these type of conversations. And also accessibility. I think some people feel so far removed when they see a certain artist, creative, doing something. They're like, dang, I wish I could talk to him. I wish, yeah, well, maybe this is your chance to go ahead and extend
Yeah.
yourself. So, mingle and mix and come up to them and
Love
express your
that.
gratitude or express the likeness of what they're doing, and then be like, hey, I would love to connect, or I would love to X, Y, and Z. Or you just want to be around folk and having a good time, and that's it. You know what I'm saying? That's the
Mhm.
premise. That's the soul of it. I just want everyone to have a good time, to come
Yeah.
with intentions of receiving, or just to being in space, and then probably leaving with something. I've had people say like, I wrote down a couple of notes. I was right. I was like, y'all, I will cry.
Yes.
Like I will cry. I will sit here and cry
Yes.
because like just providing that type of space. I had one of my friends. She said it felt like church. I was like, girl,
Oh.
and I received that only because we come
Yeah.
together in community, we come together in space, and we're on one accord with conversation with others, and just understanding like where each other is coming from, or we're prompted to ask questions, or just to see what resonates, just
Yeah.
curious to be in space. And that's what I do appreciate, especially about my community. I really appreciate it. So did the panels, creative keynotes, did two last year. Then I was able to be in the programming at Motor House. Shout out to a poet named Nate, my brother. He had suggested it to me that like, hey, that would be nice to have it here at Motor House, just to let it be a part of the programming, let people come in space, and just have a good crowd, have a good time. And I did that. I was appreciative of that. We've been running the creative keynotes series at Motor House this whole year. Our residency ends this year. The last one is on the 23rd of October. But throughout this year, that has been something that has been so profound, something to look forward to. I've had people tell me they've been looking forward to it. It's been an experience thus far, and I'm just so grateful to be able to have the capability, to have the funds, to have the community, to have the energy, the endurance to
Yes.
curate this. And it's been a swell time. So did the panels, and then Lord have mercy, did did a mini series this year, released it. I recorded it last year, which was fun, with my
Okay.
homegirl Najia R, and she came along with me with this idea because she does photography, and I was like, well, do you feel like you would like to step out of your comfort zone a little bit and do videography. And she was like, hey, sure, why not? And we curated this idea of visiting artists in their space. It's called Kreative Kompany. All of this is spelled with K's now.
Yes.
Creative, Kreative
And
Kompany.
everything will be in the show notes. Don't worry. Yes.
But Kreative Kompany was just kind of a MTV Cribs esque type of situation where we visited Black artists in their creative spaces or their studios to not only talk about their artistry, for them to give us a tour of like their space and where they create, but also just a couple of questions that are just not too heavy but just enough for us to capture them in the moment. Because usually when I visited artists, they were preparing for a show, or they would just come in debriefing from a show, or they were preparing for a project, or they were just in their space trying to find out what's the next thing for them. And I think
Yeah.
capturing that was the most beautifulest thing of the whole series, because I've recorded past shows, but like I've looked back at them, and when I post them, they'll be in later time, and I'm like, wow, you really did do that show. Or like when they was talking about it, I'm like, damn, that was you like a couple of months,
Yeah.
huh? And it's
Yeah.
so refreshing just to watch. And I have 2 more episodes just to release, and then after that we'll come where we're ending in Creative Kompany for now. We might come back
Okay.
with it,
Okay.
in a couple of months, maybe next year.
Okay.
But yeah, that's what's been going on. That's what I've been doing. That's how it became from a podcast to something much more of an umbrella type of platform. And it's been fun. It's been fun. It's been so
So
good.
cool. So cool. So cool. So cool. I wanna go back to a few things you said, because you bring up so many great points. Number one, congratulations,
Thank
because
you.
it's beautiful. Like what you've created, what you've been able to create with your resources, with the resources of your community,
Mhm.
because we're gonna talk about your community because they are bomb. They clearly are like they're pushing you. I wrote pushing friends out of their comfort zones because that is so important. I
Yeah,
think good friends do that to you, right?
absolutely.
Like or for you, right? But okay, back to what I was saying. Let's talk about your community first, because I think again that is something that's really important to push your friends out of their comfort zone. But it seems in let me know if I'm reaching, but it seems like you're like the dreamer, right? You have these amazing ideas and you're stepping into them not knowing how you're going to do it, but somehow, right, when you're reaching out to your community, it's happening. Right? And I think that's really beautiful. And cuz I love working with dreamers because y'all have the like you said, you have the most out of the box ideas,
Mhm.
and it seems like it's coming from nowhere, but of course it's coming from a source, right?
Yeah.
um and we can talk about more about like you talked about sitting in stillness, and I know that's very important when you're getting these ideas, you're getting these downloads and things, right? So just talk about your community and talk about you know how important they are and how they helped build these things with you.
Lord have mercy.
Yeah, I
Woo!
know.
Um,
I know. I just know.
So, and when I say my community, it's just, it extends beyond my tribe. Like my tribe is my main, like manana, like my main grounding source, my people. Like I call them up. I call Road Vision up, be like, hey girl, listen, I got something, I got an idea. What you think about it? I could call Oyenda Sola up. Okay, what you think about this? A poet named Nate, Amir Damani, Najee R. Like I could call them up and I'm like, y'all, listen, check it. This is what I'm thinking, right?
Yeah.
And 9 times out of 10, if they majority of the time the ideas are solid ideas, they're like, oh yeah, we can do that. Like, okay, how would you do this? How would you do that? How would you do this? And it's like, it's and I include it in my prayers. I like and I'll be like, thank you just for I think like thank you God for granting me and blessing me with people that see me and hear me,
Mm.
and not only just see me
Yeah.
for what I could do for them, but what they could do for me in return, and what we can do for each other. That's really something that I'm just grateful for. And even extending outside of my tribe, I have a beautiful community of people who tell me like, or who let me know that the things that I'm doing are needed. It aligns with them. It aligns with like what they want to listen to, what they want to be a part of, what they want to
Yeah.
support. And I'm just grateful for that. And I really don't. I wish I could give everybody like $100 million. Like everybody that can do it, like $100 million for you, $100 million for
Yeah.
you, 100 million.
For
Like I
you,
wish
for
I
you.
could,
Yeah.
like no, for real. I do it
Okay.
because
Oprah.
right, hello. But
Yes.
I think it really hit me one time with one of my I'm calling my artist uncle. Shout out to Delmar. He had told me, he was breaking it down to me. He had came to one of my creative keynotes, and he was breaking it down to me. He said, "Let me tell you something. Whatever what you're creating is phenomenal and can be amplified so much." And I was like, thank you. Being modest, whatever. He was like, "No, I need you to listen to me. These people purchase their hard-earned money to buy a ticket to go and be at your event." Imagine, he said,
Yes.
imagine this. Someone called them and said, "Hey, girl, you want to go out for drinks?" Or, "Hey, man, you want to go out for drinks on Thursday at like 7 o'clock?" And they said, "Oh no, I have to go to this event. Do you want to come?" Or, "Oh no, I'm gonna go to this event. I'm about to go have me a good time." Or like, "Oh yeah, no, I'm pulling up to this event. You should put." And I was like,
Yep.
"Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah." And I'm just grateful for people's extension in their times and their support, and just gaining something from it. And that's the main thing that I want to keep at the forefront. It's something that people are able to gain, either whether it's information, whether it's network, whether it's resource.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the main things I've been trying to filter out, or at least try to figure out what more can I provide in resource, because the social worker in me is like, "This is beautiful. Great. Lovely gowns." Where Aretha Franklin say, "Beautiful gowns, lovely gowns." Like, great. But my main focus is making sure people are fulfilled, if not only just energetically,
Mm.
but with resource. Because,
Mm.
us looking at, I don't want to say a problem, but just having conversations surrounding certain things, I would want people to be able to leave with something, if not just, fulfillment energetically, but more so, "Hey, yeah, I was told about XYZ program from this panelist that was at the panel, we should check it out." Or, "Yeah, I
Yeah.
was told about this workshop that we should go to next week, when we should check it out." Or, "Yeah, I had one panel where it highlighted Black mental health professionals, and it was
Mm.
amazing. Like, they was giving out resources. Like, the panelists had almost like a line for everybody to, like, "Hey, here's my information. Here's this information for that resource. Here's this information for this other resource. Make sure you check this out,"
Yeah.
because it was a lot of creatives and entrepreneurs who didn't have insurance, and they were looking for pro bono practices, or providers that provided pro bono practices, or
Hmm.
therapy sessions. And then there was others who were trying to incorporate mental health in their own business and their organization. I'm like, okay, this is what we're doing. I love, don't get me wrong, I love the production
Yeah.
of it. I love the whole hoopla about it. I love it. But my main forwardness is making sure people are leaving there with something, whether it be
Yeah.
energetically or whether it be within resource. And that's the main thing. And I'm just glad and that I'm able and willing to serve them in a way
Yeah.
in a way where it's
Yeah.
like, "Here, I'm giving y'all this, y'all giving y'all this. It's all good." So yeah,
Yeah.
that's how I feel about my community. I'm just grateful for them being in
Love it.
space and being receptive towards what is given, and just giving me, feedback, giving me the things that I need, to make sure that I'm catering towards them in a way where it's beneficial, and we both benefit, and we both loving each other
Yeah.
in the process. So
Yes, that's how it should be.
yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's really important. You go to, I mean, maybe not you specifically, but I've gone to a few events where I leave feeling drained, and it's like, oh,
Mm,
I could have done without that, right?
yeah, for sure.
So I think that's really important. Like you said, if it's resources or energetically, you're feeling fulfilled in some way when you leave this event.
Mm.
And I don't think a lot of people are mindful of that. So it's really cool that that is like your main intention. Like that's
Because I don't want to be just, "Okay, it's
goal
pretty
number
flowers,
one.
go, like, pretty flowers, pretty dresses, go home." Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
oh,
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And I think you talked a lot about like things that are in telling your story you were talking a lot about things that weren't in alignment with you, right?
Mhm.
Um and having to let things go. um and it's clear to see like what the alignment is, things that are in alignment with you, right? Things
Yeah,
that are very intentional, things that are very mindful, things that center mental health. And that's really beautiful to see. It's clear, right? Like there's no maybe she's this, maybe she's that. Like, no, this is what it is.
This
This
is
is
what
what
it
you're gonna
is.
get.
When people
Love
ask
it.
me, they're like, "Do you interview and have anybody else on your platform?" It says black.
Okay.
Black. I don't
Okay.
know how forward
Yes.
it gotta be. Black. Like, and that's it.
Okay.
Don't
Love
anybody
it.
else could join, you know what I'm saying, in audience and in space. I'm not discriminating, you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Everybody, come on. Come
I
on in.
totally understand.
Come
I
on
say the
in.
same thing. The podcast is all inclusive, right? Anyone can listen.
Anybody look,
I hope that other people are listening, right?
absolutely.
I hope that other people are
Absolutely.
listening and sharing it, right?
Hmm.
But it's for Black women entrepreneurs specifically. That's who I'm speaking with, and
Thank
that's
you.
in women of color, entrepreneurs, women of color entrepreneurs. But
Absolutely.
yeah, that's it. So I just love that. I really do. Hey y'all, Pink Lady here. I'm a podcast producer, director, coach, and host. And I want to tell you all about my production company, Pink Lady Productions. We collaborate with creatives like you who are driven to share your message by launching your podcast from A to Z and coaching you through the process. To learn more about our services, check out our website at pinkladyprod.com. That's PINKLADYPROD.com. Talk about those times when, because I don't think this is talked about enough, when things are not in alignment, and how that feels, and
Mhm.
sometimes you have to have a maybe like difficult conversation, or or you have to leave a difficult situation or things like that. But yeah, just talk about like what that feels like, and how you made the pivots, how you made the decision to, no, this is not in alignment with me, I'm going to leave it.
Right. So I think, well, I know when I didn't feel in alignment with what I was building was when I felt like it was all over the place. You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
I felt like I wasn't giving myself the space and the grace to learn certain
mm,
things. I felt like I was just like, okay, this gotta be put out, this gotta be that, this gotta be that, just put it out, it'd be fine. And I had to really sit and realize like, okay, well, you're gonna have to learn from either your peers or from somebody in your tribe or whoever. Don't be scared to ask questions, or don't even be scared to be critiqued or ask critique from you're not
yeah.
even just your tribe, but like even peers too as well. Like, how y'all feel about this, or what is that? People are, oh yeah, it's great, it's cool, it's fine. But I realized I wasn't in alignment when I felt like I was all over the place.
Yeah.
Hence why I had a conversation with my best friend, and I was like, hey, how does this feel? And she gave me her input. I didn't, I took it with a grain of salt, but then I would see similar answers in the when I asked others that I trusted their judgment with. I'm like, hey, how do you feel about this? Like, yeah, it's a good idea, it's great, but maybe if we can concise it to just it being, it doesn't, we're not putting you in a box, we're just putting you in a lane. We're just gonna put you in a lane. Not saying the box, because the box is confinement. The lane is more so a
Mhm.
flow. So
Mhm.
and I realized that, and I was like, okay, cool. The feeling of not being in alignment, it was rattling, girl. I was like, I'm just trying, and I don't know what to do, and I just want to be perfect. And I don't want to say I'm a perfectionist, but at least I was. I'm leaning up off of it now. I'm was very hard on myself. I'm very hard on myself and the things that I'm doing, because I feel like if it's going to be X, Y, and Z, or if I'm providing this to somebody, or if I'm telling somebody, hey, look at this, it has to be of a certain quality. But I also had to be met with the realization that I'm just learning, and I have to sit and let myself learn how to do this. I have to learn from my peers, learn from my mistakes, learn from others. Like it was others in the field. It was something that I had to realize. And just like I said, feeling like not being in alignment is when I realized like I'm just all over the place, and I was trying to do X, Y, and Z. At one point in time, like, no, this needs to be specific. Like, who is this for? And I had to be
Yeah.
very clear and deliberate about that, and sit in stillness, like I said, like, who is this for? Like, specifically. And what is the mission? What is the vision? What is that? And as cliche as it sounds, it really does help or assist with guiding in the lane finding. Because if we could be a million and one things under the sun, Jazz, but
Mm-hmm.
one thing I don't like being is confused. I don't like people being
Mm.
confused, and I don't like confusing myself. So
Okay.
I had to really, I had to really sit in stillness and figure out who this is for, and not only who this is for, why this is happening, and what is this contributing towards? How is this
Yeah.
contributing towards the stories of Black legacy? You know, in the way
Yeah.
of the creative, in the way of the artist, in the way of the entrepreneur or the impactor influencer. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, because one of my biggest values is clarity.
Yeah.
I tell my partner that all the time,
Yeah.
and he'll tell you I over explain things, I over communicate because I want to make sure I'm going to make sure I understand you, but I
Absolutely.
also want to make sure you understand me, right? And
Yeah.
that's just in general. That's how I operate. I want to make sure I get it because I really value clarity. I don't like to be confused.
Girl, I be telling people that I'm
I
like,
do
I hope
not.
when I ask people like, does that make sense? I'm not being a smart ass. I'm really like wanting to know, does this make sense?
Yes.
Because
Yes.
I don't want to sit here and I say it, and it's a funny thing. I don't want to sit here and sound like Courage the Cowardly Dog. I talk fast, and sometimes my ideas be flowing out, or like sometimes I'll be thinking about things that it be incongruent to what I'm saying. I'm like, am I making sense? But
Mhm.
also,
Mhm.
I don't want to misguide anybody with, saying, hey, look at this. And they're like, what is it? And now I'm like, oh, like, I
Yeah.
want to be clear. I want to be clear.
Yes.
And I want to be firm on like what it is, what is being supplied, what is being revealed, and what
Yeah.
is being experienced. So yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that. And I think that's important because I think the world is confusing enough. Okay. It's so much
Yeah.
stuff going on that's just super confusing. So I don't want no parts in that.
Well,
Clarity. Okay.
yes.
Talk about the name Confessions
Confession
Corner.
Corner.
Where did that come from? Yeah.
So it's funny. I was just looking for something that was at first I was like, the word confess, right? I feel like the word confess is so, some people are scared about it because when they're like, I'm confessing, you're taking
Mhm.
yourself to a space of vulnerability, right? And I
Mhm.
think
Yeah.
when people have to do confessionals, I had thought about it, about like, in the Catholic Church, don't correct me if I'm incorrect, but I know in the Catholic Church, if I'm correct, how they have the priest, and then they have like the person on the side, confessing, their
Mhm.
sins or whatever the case may be. I feel like that space is the most vulnerable space, and I thought
Mm.
that was just like, what, this is what that is in a sense, not so
Mm.
much of bearing your soul to lay on the ground and then like, just letting it all out. I always tell people, if it feels right to disclose, go ahead. I don't want to be all up in your business, but if
Right.
it feels right to disclose, go ahead and let that flow through you, because I want the energy of the space to be of grounding so you can do that.
Yeah.
And I believe the conversations, even the topics, even surrounding mental health and wellness, does give someone the type of encouragement to, what, all right, maybe
Yeah.
I do experience this, or maybe I do experience. So I must confess. And I have a segment on the panel called I Must Confess. And that's
Mhm.
just you taking the vulnerability. So the confession corner, I had just thought about, the word confess and the depth of that, while also thinking about a corner. I used to have a corner in my childhood home, and I used to sit and write journals. I was a little emo-ish.
Oh.
So I used to write journals, you know what I'm saying? Like playing
It's okay. It's
Paramore
okay.
and Papa Roach. Like it was a
Yes. Okay.
thing. Black
Been
emo
there.
girls was
Same.
a thing.
Same. It's okay.
So I'm like writing in my corner, and I think that just, vividly came to my mind. And I was like, well,
Yeah.
all right, the confession corner. And I think when
Yeah.
people see the name or they hear it, they get a little like, oh, confess. Like, am I telling my secrets? And no, it's not even on that type of idea or that type of time, but
Yeah.
more so of just taking the vulnerability aspect of a confession, of a confessional. When I think of confessionals, especially on TV reality shows, you see them in the booth just talking to themselves or talking to the
Yep.
audience, talking to the viewers, and they're being real, raw, and uncut. And that's what
Yep.
I want this space to be. That was the intention behind the space. So I was like, well, the
Yeah.
word confession seems a bit more compelling than just like the talking corner. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, and not trying to say,
Yeah.
not trying to, dismiss anybody that has talking in their podcast name. But I feel like confession is more compelling. It's more like a little bit more striking. But when you look at
Yeah.
the content, when you see the conversations, it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, that when you talk about it, that's exactly the sense I got from listening to the podcast. Absolutely. Because you talked about some really vulnerable topics.
Yeah.
And like you say, you got a little in the your into your guest business and
Yeah,
stuff,
it
right?
is
So
great.
yeah, it's a real vulnerable place. But I think that's so needed in this
Yeah,
work. That is so we need
it's
it because
very good.
we got to be like tough. We got to have tough
Yeah,
skin. We got to be, all those things. So we don't get a lot of the times to be vulnerable,
yeah.
especially out in the world, right? Our vulnerable spaces a lot of times are like our homes,
Hmm.
our rooms, right? Or maybe a spot in our homes
The
or in our
corner
rooms, right?
in the house
Right.
in the
Okay.
room.
Exactly. So that's a perfect name. I
Yeah.
kudos to you for
Thank
coming up with
you.
that
I
because I think
appreciate
that's
that.
perfect. Yeah, it really it describes exactly what you want it to.
Mm.
Um Let's talk about learning because you mentioned it a few times. You're saying, especially when you were talking about things that weren't in alignment, having realizing that you still have to learn things, right? And I think a lot of people just kind of like act like they know it all, right? Like, or a lot of the times we're just kind of out here like trying to pretend we know it all maybe. So I think it's so important to just continuously learn, right? I like to call myself a lifelong learner, and I like to say that like the learning can come from anywhere. It doesn't have to be like school. It doesn't have to be college and things like that, even though I'm total advocate for school and college. If that's
Oh,
your
absolutely.
thing,
Yeah.
do it. But it doesn't have to be that, right? There are so many different ways to learn, like going to workshops and conversation. I'm learning from you in this conversation, right? So just different ways to learn. Talk about why that is so important. Because things are always changing, so like how
Absolutely.
why would you ever stop learning? That's my opinion, but
Exactly.
talk about it.
So, just learning in a sense. I'm a real big advocate, like you said. If you go to school for just the production, media production, producing, uh, being a media personality, or talk show host, things of that nature. I think it's very good to have that under your belt. If you could choose that as to be an elective, if you want to do something in the arts or creatively in this field. But for learning for me is something that I've never shied away from.
Mhm.
My brain sometimes picks up on things. Some things initially I was intentionally trying to pick up on. Some things subconsciously just came. I was like, I remember X, Y, and Z did that, and I think that could work for X. Da, 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 da. So
Mhm.
I'm a real big advocate for learning. I'm never too shy to sit and be like, hey, or reach out to somebody and ask, how did you do this or how did you do that? I will say I learned a lot, and I keep bringing them up. I learned a lot from my tribe, just to know how to express what I'm doing, to be able to have conversations about what I'm doing, to be able to understand rejection better, to understand the yeses better, and what to do with those, how to make it more inclusive, not just for the people in my tribe, but also for people in my community, how to include people in my tribe if I once I get a yes, because I'm a real big advocate for also like making sure the team is doing just as well as I am. If I have an opportunity or whatever case may be, I don't mind extending that. So I had to learn how to pass the oop to somebody, understand how to learn how to keep certain things on hush and just to wait for certain projects, learn how to have discernment with like what aligns with a certain creative or artist or influencer and what doesn't. One of
Yeah.
the things I learned big time this year was learning how to, and I say it very like I'm a silly person, but I learned how to play in people's emails this year, and
Okay.
it's so fun because and it's like not playing like I'm just joking around, all right, y'all, whatever, but like reaching out to people, corporations, brands, businesses, because you never
Yes.
know who's going to say, I actually like that. You never know who
Yes.
doesn't know you yet. So it's funny. I'm gonna try to make it very simple in the storytelling of this. But I had, well, when I work and I do like my notes for my sessions and things like that, when I'm catching up, I usually have something playing in the background. So usually I watch, like, interviews, things of that nature, da 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 da, just as background noise, or just sometimes paying attention to it and just hearing conversations go along while I'm doing work. And usually I listen to, I don't know if you're familiar with the Skin Deep, the and cards, the Skin Deep is the Emmy Award winning series. Well, the Skin Deep is like the actual organization, but the And is the series that won an Emmy, and
Okay.
it's based upon, shout out to Topaz. He's the founder CEO. He created, it's like these card games. It's like these cards that have questions, very deep interpersonal questions. They have different versions. They have like the friendship version, the dating version, long term relationship version, everything like that.
Oh.
It's all over YouTube. All over YouTube.
Okay.
And I remember one of my best friends, Yana, she had told me, like, way when I first started um having the concept of a podcast. She was like, maybe you should play those cards on your podcast. That'll be pretty good, Subconsciously, I was like, yeah, girl, that'll be good, whatever, niggas go there, like, you know what I'm saying? So I was listening to one of their episodes when I was working one day, and I was like, I wonder if they offering like partnerships or sponsorships, like if we use the game, like, the cards. I just wonder. I don't know. This is my
Yeah.
second year. I don't know. I don't know nothing. Nothing. I don't know nothing, Jazz. I don't know nothing. So I had sent out an email. Well, funny enough, they had just started having like community partnerships. They had like a form on their website. You could fill it out. And I'm like, I'm in the community. I can get a partnership. Sure. So I
Yes.
fill it out, fill it out, fill it out. It's all cute. Beautiful gowns, lovely gowns. Fill it out. And I think that was like on a Friday. And I remember on a Monday, I went in, was looking through my emails, going doing work things. And I saw an email from one of their staff for the media, for like the partnership production, media team.
Okay.
And I was like, and they were like, yeah, we think this is a great idea. We would love to meet. We would love to, figure out more, like, what the
See?
Confession Korner got. I was like, oh, bet. I had called my
That's
I had called
amazing.
my sister. I had called my sister Sola. I said, I sent it to her a screenshot. I said, "Is this real?" She was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Okay," because some people get the spam, get the whatever, like get the
Absolutely.
automated.
I get them all the time.
I was like, "Excuse me." So,
Yeah.
and then now we're in partnership with the Skin Deep, and that's been a
That's
thing. It's been a
amazing.
beautiful partnership. We've been utilizing the cards not only in the panels, but we're looking forward to utilizing them in the series, in the next podcast season coming up. So, season 3 is on the way next year.
Yay.
So it's been a joy. All that to say, it's been a joy learning what I could learn and experience, because I
Yeah.
just, like, you just don't know. So how about, this is the way you go about addressing or approaching a brand, a part, like, an organization, in hopes of a sponsorship or partnership. It's just all of a part of the process, and it's been fun. It's been fun learning.
Yeah.
It's been fun
Yeah.
learning.
Yeah. Yeah. Because learning can be fun, right? It doesn't have to
Absolutely.
be like how we think about learning, right? Or how we think about education,
Yeah,
right? Like
so
it doesn't have to be
excruciating,
that.
so note taking.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah. Okay.
like
You bring up the best point, my favorite point, well, one of my favorite points to talk about on this podcast is not being afraid to ask. And don't get me wrong, this is something I struggle with. I do, and I think that's why I want to talk about it so much.
Mhm.
But like you said, you never know who's going to be that one to say yes, right?
Yeah,
Let them tell you no. Don't you tell you no,
yeah.
right?
And even if they tell you no, I was gonna say, even if they tell you no, just like, okay, well, great, thank you. Do you know anybody else that would love to do this? Are
Mm,
you looking forward, like, for if you're looking forward towards something like this within your organization and lines, like, I would love to, be one of the people that you contact. It don't
yeah.
gotta be sour. Some people I've seen so many people be like, well, yeah, they told me no. So I forget them. I ain't working with them for nothing. And I ain't doing shit. I'm like, well, maybe that's probably somebody that you want to, like, just leave on like okay terms with,
Yeah.
like, all right. Like, unless they disrespectful, but other than that, just
Right.
be okay with the no, and then like also like pivot the no. Like, all right, but do you know anybody else that would, or do you have any other
Yeah.
ideas, or if not, then I really appreciate you everything that you're doing. Bada bing, bada boom. Hopefully, we cross path again.
Yes,
Mhm.
absolutely. And that what's the saying? Like it means it's a no for right now, but it
Mhm.
might not always be a no.
Mhm.
I can't think of the wording, but it's something like that, right? Like just because they said no doesn't mean it's always going to be a no, right? Like you said,
Absolutely.
it could be a pivot, it could be like, oh, well, maybe you don't want to work with me in this way, but we can work together in a different way or something like
Mhm.
that. Like it can the no doesn't always mean no, not at all. It
Yeah,
can you can turn
yeah,
it into something else, right?
absolutely.
So, yeah, that's great point. Great point. So yes, please. This conversation has been amazing. We've been vibing. We haven't really been talking about entrepreneurship, and that's really what the podcast is all about.
Yeah.
So let's get on to that. So please tell the people, what does being an entrepreneur mean to you?
It means, oh, and it's so funny because I never even really thought about me being an entrepreneur until somebody asked me for like my business license or my business insurance. I was like, what? A business what?
Yeah.
But I guess because sole proprietorship is, I guess, whatever. Anyway, uh what it means to me, it means it means authentic work. Putting in
Mm,
like authentic work. Putting in authentic work not only just for the ideas that you have, but for the things that you're supplying to people,
mm,
what you're extending. I think it means providing that and being not only authentic to the work, but being authentic to yourself. 'Cause that's the only way that it's going to be, promising
yeah.
and prominent. At least in my opinion. Uh, I think being an entrepreneur means extending pieces of your soul and yourself
Mm,
for others to hold and to have and to experience, because the things that you're extending to folk is not just, I would hope, for people who are entrepreneurs, it's just not fabricated, it's not real, just surface level, it's just not fast
yeah.
food, it's soul food in a way.
Yeah.
And entrepreneurship, at least for me, that's what it feels like for me, like taking bits and pieces of my soul and myself and just making it tangible for folk, or creating an experience for folk, or just a space for people to understand, like, hey, this is what this is I'm providing, and this is what I'm passionate about, and I'm just grateful to be able to extend that, and for you to purchase or to support that in a way. So yeah, that's what it means to be
Yeah.
an entrepreneur for me.
That's beautiful. I love how you talked about like, it's not fast food, it's soul food because that's
Yeah,
exactly how I feel with, me being an entrepreneur when I'm giving my
absolutely.
services to people, I put my heart into it.
Mhm.
And I think that's a large part of why rejection feels so hard because it's
Yeah,
like this is me, right?
this is my
Like
baby, you want to say no to my baby?
what
Like,
you mean? Like, exactly. Exactly.
geez. Yeah,
But it's a part of the journey, right? You got to
absolutely.
getting okay with rejection because you're going to experience a lot of it. I think that part I've come to just acknowledge and accept. You're going to deal with rejection. So just get okay with it, get used to it. And it won't always be like that. You get okay with rejection so that the next season you can find those people who are in alignment
Yeah,
with you, right?
absolutely. Mm,
Yeah. So I love the not fast food but soul food. That's
yes.
on point.
Yes. I love me some good
So,
food.
do you have any advice for Black women entrepreneurs?
Any advice for Black women entrepreneurs? I want to say, a piece of advice that has been helpful to me, and I feel like I'm overdoing it with the word, so I might just change it around. Or just the idea and concept. Just be mindful of your mentorship. I was
Mm,
blessed. I
okay.
was blessed to have women, Black
Mm,
women, who were already in entrepreneurship. and even involving in entrepreneurship to, I want to say, I don't know if they directly knew that they were doing it. Like, okay, sit down. We're going to do X, da, da, da. You know, they didn't really sit and say like, I'm going to take you through this master class of da, 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 da. It was, it came, the mentorship came from, hey girl, we're cooking dinner. Da, 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 da. You want to come over? Da, da, da.
Mm.
Okay, cool. The
Yeah.
adoption of understanding my vision and understanding the passion I have behind my vision, and being able to see that, and they were able to be like, you know what, um, we want to push you in that way, or we want to support you in this way, but I feel like there's some things that you need to learn. And it's not,
Mm.
it wasn't framed like that, but it just happened so naturally. And
Yeah.
now that I look back at it, I'm grateful for them. Shout out to Brienne and shout out to Oli and Dasola. Like they are still, just from experience, they are my first experience of mentorship, Black women mentorship in entrepreneurship, and just seeing
Yeah.
what that looks like, and how does that feel, and how does that fit on a Black woman just navigating through society today. I would give
Mm.
the advice of being mindful of who you have as mentors, or what does mentorship look like for you, what you would like for it to look like for you, because I had no idea until like I look back at it now and see the beauty in which they fueled into what the Confession Corner is now,
Yeah.
and I have to give my flowers to them each and every time. And even if not just mentorship, what does your tribe look like, and I speak about them. This is what I was going to say. I was overdoing it with the word tribe, but um alongside mentorship, what does your team, what does your tribe, what does your village look like,
Yeah.
and it, not everybody's going to be perfect, and I will say that everybody's not going to be perfect. Everybody's not going to be, oh yeah, they're doing, what I'm saying, but what can you learn from each other, and what is your tribe doing, like looking at the people in your tribe and what they're doing for themselves, and then like noticing that, because they don't mind extending that to you, what I'm
Yeah.
saying, if you really do need it. So
Absolutely.
just be mindful of the mentorship, and then also being mindful of the peers, the tribe that you have surrounded, and everything lined up be pretty good. But
Yeah.
I know people outgrow. There's ebbs and flows in relationships. There's ebbs and flows, and like seasons of people and change. And don't be afraid of the seasons changing, and maybe that was the time, the ending limit for the time that you were to learn something from those people or that individual and things like that. So I would say don't take that to the heart and be so
Yeah.
dire, like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm gonna do without X, Y, and Z. There will be more people to flow into your
Mm-hmm.
organization, to your business as you move forward. You'll be in alignment as long as keep the faith of whatever higher power, say a kumbaya prayer, whatever suits the soul, and
Yes.
just being steadfast and understanding that this is your passion, this is something that you want to express, and that you're serious about, or semi serious about, or you just want to do it for fun, you know what I'm saying, like
Yeah.
something, just whatever the motivation is behind it, let that encouragement be boosted by 10, with
Yes.
having that mentorship, and then having those peers that are surrounding you within your entrepreneurship, in your tribe that you make up. So yeah.
Yeah, mentorship is so important, and I mean, I love what you said about your tribe, your people, right? That's what I would say, your people,
Mhm.
um, because I think a lot of the time people don't really like to talk about like how your friends or your team, like your relationships should be reciprocal, right?
Mhm.
They should be mutually beneficial, right? Like you shouldn't be pouring all your energy, all your time, or your anything into somebody that you're not getting anything out of, right? So I think it's really important to note, like, yeah, what you said, like, look what those people are doing for themselves.
Mhm.
And a lot of the times, if they're doing it for themselves, they have no issue extending that grace to you,
Absolutely.
extending those resources to you, especially if you're pouring into them in other ways, maybe, right? It doesn't have to be the same way. In
Mhm.
other ways, you could be pouring into them. So I think that's so important. It's a great point. Like, yeah, you should be looking for, yeah, you can look for those things. It's okay. You don't have to like shy away from looking for mutually beneficial relationships.
Mhm.
Very important. And then, yeah, mentorship is just so important. My mentor brought me into the podcasting world. And it's funny because she's not even podcasting anymore, but like, I literally grew my business off of the things that I learned from starting her podcast. So
Mhm.
it's it's beautiful. Get yourself a mentor for sure.
Right. No, for real. And it's
And
okay if mentor shifts. Like they shift in
yes,
and out. They really,
yes,
like you learn something new or different from some people in different eras and different seasons. So yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. It doesn't have to be one person, right? It
Yeah, it
can
doesn't
be
have to be
a
one
few.
person.
You could have a mentor in one area, one mentor in one area and another mentor in another area. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Um, okay, I want to talk about one more thing if it's okay. I know I
It's
said two
fine,
more
girl. We here.
questions.
I'm on your.
Okay, okay,
It's
okay.
funky in here.
um, Good. Thank you, thank you. So talk about like your social work background and how that informs everything that you do, because I think it's really obvious, but I definitely want to hear you talk about it because you're so, just from speaking to you, I see how you light up when you talk about certain things, and you're
Mhm.
just so intentional about all of the different pieces that are going into what you're doing. So
Absolutely.
please talk more
So,
about it.
so going back to college at the illustrious Morgan State University, home of the Bears, orange and blue, established in
Okay.
1867. Okay.
Okay.
Um, I went to Morgan um, for initially for psychology, and then I saw like psychology was a little too much science, and I was like, honey, I'm good at English and literature, and that's pretty much it.
Okay.
Science is cool, but I was like, I want something more hands on, and I felt like I want to, be in the field and do things. And my advisor, he had told me, it sounds like you want to do social work, and I was like, okay. And everybody knows the stigma, social workers take the kids, CPS, but just more so of being in the classes and going along with the curriculum, going along with my major as being a social worker. I found out like this is something that I really am passionate about, just providing a resource, and not only just that, being a person to provide space for people to untangle the thoughts, untangle the voices in their head, or the situations or the anxieties and things like that. So initially was going for psychology, ended up doing social work, loved it, and I went to go get my master's at Morgan, the illustrious Morgan State University, uh, as well. And I did an advanced standing program that was a 1 year program because my GPA was like, I think 3.8 for undergrad or whatever the case may be. And Morgan has the social work department has an option for you to do advanced standing, but that's basically compiling the 3 years for your master's in like one
Mm,
year. And
okay.
it's a very rigorous program. You can't get nothing below a C or even a C, God forbid. And that was one of the most challenging times, I will say, even in my life, just really processing how I wanted to be, what type of social worker I wanted to be, or how I wanted to be in the field. Because there was sometimes I'm writing these essays, Jazz, and I'm like, listen, going, I don't know. Case managements don't sound too bad, and there's nothing wrong with case management. Don't get me wrong, but the main goal was to get licensed and to get my LMS,
Yeah.
like to be an LMSW. So, but I found my passion in social work just from knowing I could be an enforcer of change, be an
Mm,
advocate, be somebody that could provide resource to assist with somebody in everyday life, because life be hard as shit. Like people in this
mm,
life have like life troubles. Like it be hard. Like I've
mhm,
seen so many cases of people, the homelessness, people having like no resource for their families. They get in these situations where certain systems are not beneficial to them, and they need assistance, and they're looking not only ways to manage their bills, their family, the situation, but also like their mental equilibrium.
mm.
People are
Yes.
going off of like, yeah, the equilibrium is off. People are not well. And like, not to say that to be like, I've had moments when I wasn't feeling well, but
Okay.
it just understanding, like, hello, just understanding and empathizing with folk,
Yeah.
and understanding like I do have the connection, I do have like some type of resource, or I do have the ability to assist in that way. And that's what really drew me to social work, helped me stay grounded within it. And the more that I learn in social work, the more that I find out that it's not just a very like small lane. It's so broad. I could do medical social work. I can do travel social work. I could go work with different population. I go work with the
Yeah.
geriatric. I could go work with the adolescents. I could go work with youth and do other programs. I could assist with certain workshops. I could do so many things with just what I learned and what I continuously learn with being an advocate for change. And that's something that I really am passionate about just initially. So being a licensed social worker and a therapist, I think I've been in the field for, I want to say like 6 years,
Mm.
but I've been a licensed social worker, and I took that test more than 3 times. So nah, because
It's okay. You passed.
girl, hello. Now
Okay.
I'm in the season of studying for my LCSW, that's licensed clinical social worker. So that
Okay.
puts me at like, a little bit more of a oomph than LMSW,
Okay.
where I'm able to supervise other LMSWs, other clinicians, and be
Mm.
able to have more of an in-depth approach or in-depth understanding of the field. And yeah, I think that's, primarily my passion behind doing social work, doing the behavioral health profession and being immersed in that. And it's been rewarding. There's been
Yeah.
some situations, like life is real life hard, like hard as shit. I'm gonna keep saying it, like it's
Mhm.
situations, and I've noticed, like, I've had to give myself time to decompress, and like, because you're dealing with like a lot of energies, a lot of situations, a lot of
Mm.
people. And but it's 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 something that I wouldn't change though.
Yeah.
It really gives you a glimpse, and I think that of real life, and I think that's why I'm so grateful in when I speak about certain things in my life, certain aspects, certain whatever, because life could be so different. And not to like,
Hmm.
belittle the situation or make people, whoever has gone through real life stuff, but it's
Yeah.
like it just gives you a different perspective at like how you're able to assist, and how like in every day you don't know what other people are going through, and how like empathy is one of the biggest movements that we need to have in the world, like
Yes.
at least to flow more with. So yeah,
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely. Empathy is so needed, especially right now.
especially right
Um,
now.
okay.
Yeah,
Which is, yeah, no, what you're saying is so important. I think about, I think about that all the time, how perspectives, you just really need to see a different perspective other than your own.
yeah,
Because life could be so different. And again, it doesn't minimize anything that I've gone through, right?
yeah.
I've gone through shit too. Life been hard for
Yeah.
me too.
Life be
But
hard. Life be hard.
okay. But it could also be very different, right? I
Yes.
could be in a situation where I'm not loving my life and I do
Yeah.
love my life, right?
Yes.
So, yeah, I think that's so important. Yeah, just, yeah, knowing that there are people out there who don't live like you, right? Like, some people don't know that. I had to be an adult to realize, like, oh, some people don't know this. Like, okay,
Girl,
yeah,
yes, I went on a walk
empathy.
today. I lived, Baltimore, and like, the harbor, and I'm
Hmm.
walking around, and I feel like, some people are like, oh, I would like to live in there. I was looking at the houses on the water. I'm like, that would be nice, but honestly, not trying to say I wouldn't want it, Lord. But if you got it, you can send it. But
Okay.
uh, it made me realize, like, okay, where I'm living at is not bad. I'm housed, it's heat, I got a lot of space, it's cute, it's gorgeous. But it's also like
Okay.
people probably don't even get to live like, how the people in the water live, nor do they live like how I'm living. And it's like, I gotta be
Yes.
grateful, but also like, even with that gratitude, I don't mind assisting in whatever ways that doesn't cause too much of a strain of my extension of help. I don't
Yes.
mind
Yeah.
doing that. I don't. If brother, sister, whoever needs assistance with housing, need assistance, in the professional field, like where I'm at, like if you need assistance with housing, if you need me to call up this place to provide resource for X, Y, and Z for funding for food and heating and your BGE, like we can do that, If I have a client that needs to do that, I will do those things, because I
Yeah.
understand like life be hard. Life be like
Mhm.
and people don't live, and like how you said, people don't get to live like how I live. I just walked around the harbor enjoying my day. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And people, and
Yeah.
somebody's worried about like how they're gonna eat tonight. You know what I'm saying? Like it really puts things in
Literally.
perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
for sure.
Absolutely.